It is Sunday, the 9th of August, 2015. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy, which include, but are by no means limited to, attempting to misuse Canada's blasphemy law in Bill Cosby-style legal bullying that seeks to cover up and deny the fact that certain Unitarian Universalist ministers are guilty of what Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors litigation lawyer Maitre Marc-André Coulombe describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. And in fact, that is the focus of my protest for some time now, ever since the Unitarian Universalist Association in Boston hired Maitre Marc-André Coulombe to falsely accuse me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel on the unfounded basis that I had allegedly made unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. I was explaining what happened in the previous video clip, but it seems the camera shut off at some point. I don't know exactly why. There was still juice in the battery, but every now and then it does shut off, perhaps because the video on-off button gets bumped or something. So I really don't know how much of that was recorded, so I guess I'm going to have to redo my little monologue about that. So yes, on Friday, June 1st of 2012, I received an email which contained a PDF attachment, which was a PDF document of an actual paper and ink letter that Maitre Marc-André Coulombe of Stikeman Elliott barristers and solicitors had signed his name to. And in that arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter, which contained a variety of other ludicrous accusations, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe accused me of blasphemous libel for the aforementioned reasons. Allegedly, I had made unfounded and vicious allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Well, I knew that, yes, I'd written about some cases of pedophilia and or rape. And I say and or because one of the cases was a Unitarian Universalist who was convicted of raping children who were younger than 12 years old at the times that the rapes took place, and might have been as young as 6 years old when the rapes took place, and certainly were somewhere between 9 and 12 years old when the rapes took place, which makes Richard Buell of First Parish Norwell in Boston a pedophile rapist in my books. I mean, I think someone who is convicted of raping children who range between the age of 6 and 12 can be described as a pedophile rapist, and that's exactly how I describe them. I also blogged about Reverend Mac W. Mitchell of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Westboro and Northborough, Massachusetts, who was convicted of raping teenage, Tibetan refugees who he had lured away from their families in India with promises of a better life in America. In other words, Mac Mitchell told the parents of the teenage Tibetan refugees that, you know, if they put them in his care, that, you know, they would be protected and have a good life in America under his care. And then he proceeded to rape them over a period measured in years in at least one case, and months in another at least. But one of his victims was raped for, you know, somewhere at least 4 or 5 years, if not a bit longer, before she finally, basically ran away and then reported the rapes to some of the church members. She didn't actually directly report the rapes to the police. She first reported them to some of the church members. And some of the church members, not all of them, but some of the church members thought the best thing to do was to report the allegations to the police so the police could do a proper investigation. And that's what happened. And Reverend Mac W. Mitchell was convicted of the despicable crime known as rape. I will add that, as I said, not all of the church members did the right thing. In fact, there's at least one newspaper report that makes it clear that there was an attempt to cover up and hide Reverend Mac Mitchell's rape of teenage Tibetan refugees. There was an attempt either by the local church or the Unitarian Universalist Association, or a combination of both, to persuade Reverend Mac W. Mitchell's victims to sign confidentiality agreements. And this attempt to have the victims sign confidentiality agreements in an effort to keep Reverend Mac Mitchell's sex crimes secret was, basically inadvertently or possibly even knowingly and willfully torpedoed and sabotaged by the church members, the few church members, no more than about 5, who did the right thing and reported the victims' allegations to the police. Once the police, had the crimes reported to them and had Reverend Mac W. Mitchell arrested, there was no possibility after that of having the victims sign confidentiality agreements. And this is what's interesting is that, so many years later, the UUA thought that it would be a really good idea to accuse me of blasphemous libel in an effort to cover up and hide the fact that Reverend Mac W. Mitchell and Richard Buell were actually convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So they're actually, trying to cover up and hide such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, minimize the online information by misusing Canada's blasphemy law. Well, the last time I checked, such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape aren't held to be sacred or holy by Unitarian Universalists, unless there's some secret doctrine of Unitarian Universalism that I'm not aware of. And therefore, truthful or false allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape cannot possibly be blasphemous libel, because blasphemous libel is blasphemy. It is essentially attacking the most deeply held, sacred and holy religious beliefs and practices of a religious community. And generally speaking, in Canada and the Commonwealth, we're talking about a Christian, specifically Christian community, which Unitarians aren't really these days. But nonetheless, even if we broaden the law out to apply to any religious community, the fact remains that the only way I could be guilty of the criminal act of blasphemous libel for blogging about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists